Alright everybody, how are you all doing? Welcome back. I do hope you guys followed along with the first video and you guys got the table done. Yeah, please do feel free to send me some pictures in World, Martin Glom of your stuff that you make and stuff. It'd be really awesome to see what you guys are making. But anyway, we are going to now continue on with our table that we done in the last video. Now, we created the table in our last video and we uploaded it in World. Hooray for us, absolutely awesome. Now we have a model that we can build on. So now we have a basic table. Okay, so when I imagine a table, okay, I imagine that we have our table, and what we have is we have like our legs, and then we have like slats running across here, like boards running across here as well, and maybe another shelf underneath here. If it's a kitchen table, it doesn't have these slats. But if it's just a dining table or whatever, so it might have these. So what we'll do is we'll add some of them in. Okay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to make sure that we have our scale, which is proper. Yes, it is. That's perfect. Okay. So I'm going to close that bar by pressing N on my keyboard. If you had it open, you can close it by pressing N. I'm going to press 1 on my number pad. And it's going to bring me into my front orthographic. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my wireframe mode. So I'm going to press Z on my keyboard and I'm going to go to wireframe. And now that I am in wireframe mode, what I'm going to do is I'm going to press tab and go into edit mode. And now, as you can see, I'm in wireframe and I am actually in edit mode. The reason why I want to be in edit mode is because I want to be able to edit the vertices back here. I want to be able to put edge loops and edit vertices back here. So I'm going to do it while I am in wireframe mode. Otherwise, I'd only be able to grab these and it wouldn't grab what's behind it. So again, I'm going to double tap A to deselect all. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and I'm going to move it just a small bit like this, just so I can see either side. And I'm going to press I'm going to hover over one of the legs, press Control R, move my mouse wheel forward once, press left click and drop it into place, or you can press enter on your keyboard, up to you. And then I'm going to do the same here, Control R, and I'll press enter on my keyboard this time, and then I'll press enter again. Same thing as pressing left click, Control R, and then again Control R. So we should end up with 2 loop cuts on each leg. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 loop cuts in total, 2 on each leg. And now your model should represent something like this. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go and we are going to go back into our front view. So we'll press 1 on our number pad back into our front view. I'm going to zoom in a little small bit here, and what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to go to vertex select mode. So I can press up here and click to go to vertex select. Now I can select the vertices here, and if I press B on my keyboard, so that's B for ball, and I can press B on my keyboard, and then if I hold left click on my mouse and then I drag across, I can select all of these vertices. So I can select all of these vertices. Okay, so all of these are selected, from the back ones to the front ones as well. Okay, and that's by pressing B on the keyboard, holding left click and then dragging a selection across. So as you can see now, I've selected all those. So what I want to do is I want to scale them down a small bit. They're a bit too big now to be the posts in between the legs. Okay, so I want to scale them down a small bit. So I can go over here to my scale tool on the left hand side toolbar, and then I can just left click the blue one and I can just bring it down a bit. Okay, so just eyeball it and where do you think it might be okay. So just bring it down a bit here, and yeah, so that's starting to look a bit better now, so I'm happy with that now at the moment. So now we want to actually make the beams, the slats or whatever they're called, from leg to leg to go over here. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually go this time and we're going to use face select mode. Okay, so we're going to click face select mode up here on the top. Okay, so we're going to click face select mode, and then what we're going to do is we're going to left click this face here. Okay, so now we have this face selected here, and we're going to just move our mouse around, and we're going to hold shift and left click this face here. Okay, so both of these faces are selected. We have this face selected and this face. Then what we're going to do is we're going to bridge these edge loops. Okay, so we're going to we're going to right click over one of these edges. Okay, now what's going to happen is in 2.79 it was bridge edge loops. Okay, and in 2.8 it's called bridge faces. It does the exact same thing, but it's called bridge faces. So once you right click here, you get your context menu. Okay, and what you can do is you can subdivide them or extrude them and inset the faces, do whatever you want, but we just want to bridge faces. So bridge faces is here, left click once, and bang, we have bridged the faces. So now we've bridged the faces and we've created new geometry, and we just follow the same way around. We left click this, and then we also hold shift and left click this, right click our mouse, bridge faces, left click here, and also shift left click here. I hit the wrong face there actually. So if I don't hit the wrong face again, I'm going to shift and left click to select these, right click bridge faces, select this face here. I keep selecting the outside face for some reason, and it's because I'm not. If you guys are having that problem where you're trying to select the face and it's selecting something else, just bring your mouse around a bit until you can see the dot of the actual face itself, which is about here, and then hover over the dot and click it, and then you'll easily select it then. As you can see, I can see the dot here now, so I can hold shift and left click. So I've selected the face, shift and left click selected the other face. I've right clicked on my mouse and I've bridged faces. Now when I go and I actually press Z to come out of wireframe mode, okay, go back into solid mode, and then I press tab to go into object mode, I have now my table and it's actually bridged the faces themselves, so I have my table and I have bridged the faces itself. Now of course we have the bevel on top of this here, and we want the bevel on the bottom, so we can simply just go back into edit mode, and what we can do is we have this one selected here. What we want to do, okay, is we want to select each one of these, but we can't just shift select them because it's all part of a one selection. But if you hover over, okay, and if you press L on your keyboard, so that's L on your keyboard, and you see if you go on let me see, if we select this here, let me see, and for some reason Blender seems to be bugging out again, but yeah, what I wanted to do was I wanted to actually shift select each piece by them, each linked piece, so I wanted to be able to go and select each piece, and for some reason Blender doesn't seem to want to let me do it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select them manually, but you should be able to just hover over it and just basically just press L, and you should be able to just select the linked piece of it, and yeah, but for some reason Blender wants to act up, so I'll just manually select them myself, and I'm just holding shift and I'm left clicking just to select them all. Hold shift and left click and select each and every one. This is the pain part of it, I apologize, but yeah, it seems that Blender wanted to act up and wouldn't let me select the linked parts, but yeah, now I have them all selected, and now what I can do is I can just press Control B, so Control B, and then hold shift on my keyboard, and then I can just give them a little bit of a bevel as well, so just a small bit, and then then I can go and I can actually press tab to go out of edit mode, and once I press tab to go out of edit mode, then I can see that I have actually applied the bevel to the lower part of the table itself, and that bevel looks a bit too sharp maybe there, So what I can do is I want to go back into edit mode and I press Control Z. I want to, and then Control B. I just want to give it a little bevel. That bevel was a bit too strong, I think, you know. So I just want to give it a tiny bit. So there, yeah. So I just want to make it so that it just looks organic to the table itself, you know. So yeah, that's how you add the slats underneath it, and how you just add the bevel onto it then. So now we have our table model here, okay? So what we're going to do now is we're going to have a look at shading it, okay? Actually putting a texture onto it. So first of all, what we're going to do is we're going to go to our shading tab, okay? Our shading tab is up the top, okay? So as you see up here, up the top, our shading tab. And we click our shading tab, and now we are into our shading tab. So we have our principal BSDF shader, okay? Sorry, I had to get a drink there. We have our principal BSDF shader, and we have our material output, okay? As we talked about in another video, what the principal BDSF shader does is it takes all the information we give it, color and, you know, subsurface scattering and stuff, and it puts it into material output, which puts it here. This has a material itself, because if we come over here to the right hand side and we click the material properties, we can see that this does in fact have a base material, and that's why we have this here. If this didn't have a base material, we wouldn't have any node here at all whatsoever, and then we would just simply press new, and we would create a new material here, and then we would get this principal BSDF in the material output itself. So right, everybody, what is up? I do apologize for that. I am sorry. It seems my computer wanted to crash out. I'm sorry about that. I've cut this in. Hopefully it's not too much disruption. But yeah, guys, as you can see, we are back here now at our table, okay, guys? And we have our principal BSDF shader and our material output here. And essentially all our principal BSDF shader does is give all of our you know, metallic and subsurface and stuff all to the actual material itself. So what we're going to do is we're going to basically put a texture on this, and it's going to, you know, it's not going to be the best. It's going to be a dirty unwrap, and you know, we'll pretty much get it looking, you know, as it is. Now, as you can see, guys, there's a material on this. That's why we have a principal BSDF. If there was no material, if I just actually remove this material here, you see that there's no material here at all whatsoever. And you could just click new and create a new material. I'm just going to click one of these materials from the drop down here. So yeah, we have our principal BSDF and our material output. So now what we want to do is we want to add an image texture node, okay? So we can do that by going add texture and image texture, or we can press Control A and add an image texture node. We can go texture, image texture, and add an image texture node, and left click and just drop it here. So as you can see, we've dropped our image texture node in place. So what we can do now is we can actually go and we can create a new image texture, which is we're going to create a UV grid. So we're going to click new, leave it untitled. 1024 1024 is fine. We will not make it alpha, so uncheck that, and then we will make it a UV grid instead of blank. So we make the generate type UV grid, and then we'll click OK, and now we'll simply just connect this yellow port to the base color, and now we have our UV grid here. Okay, now you guys will probably have you know, you guys will probably have your UV, you know, your table, and it will actually not be unwrapped properly, and it will not look like this. The reason why is because we have not properly unwrapped it. We've just quick dirty unwrapped it. I was doing that as the video decided to crash. So all you simply do is just press U on your keyboard. Okay, so press U on your keyboard. Well, tab and go into edit mode. Make sure everything's all selected. Press U on your keyboard and then press cube projection. Okay, cube projection, and you will get this here. And you know, it's not the best, but it's actually just, you know, it's okay. It's not the best, it's just okay, you know. Now at this time, what I want to do is I want to let you guys know about the Node Wrangler, okay? So the Node Wrangler, if you've not used it before, allows us to add a mapping node and also a texture coordinate node onto this texture node itself. So you can activate the Node Wrangler by going Edit and Preferences, and then in the add-ons tab, if you search Node, Node, you will see Node Wrangler. And then if you press check mark there, then that will activate Node Wrangler. And that allows you to hover over these image textures and press Control and T on your keyboard, Control T. And now, as you see, we have a mapping node and a texture coordinate node. And the mapping and texture coordinate allows us to be able to go and edit and be able to edit the scale and stuff of textures and stuff like that. So we can play around with the scale of our textures and various stuff like that by moving scale. You see, you could scale it. See the way now that's a bit off there like that. You could actually bring the scale back, and you could match the cubes up so that they look kind of matched up, but you could play around with that to get your texture sitting properly. But as I said, it's a dirty unwrap. So right now at the moment, the cube projection, so pressing U to unwrap and then cube projection allows us to get a dirty unwrap. If you guys are any questions ranting about unwrapping, let me know. But I have a video up of UV unwrapping basics, so yeah, please do look at that and you will get an idea of UV unwrapping basics. So right now I have my principal BSDF shader, my material output, my image texture, my mapping node, and my texture coordinate. So what I want to do is I want to add a wood texture to this, okay guys? So there's loads of free wood textures out there, and you can add any wood texture that you want. I'm just going to go with a simple wood texture that I found that's free. I'm going to click this little folder icon here on the on the texture node. Click the folder icon, and then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to open up the wood texture here, double click it, and as you can see now I have the wood texture and it's uploaded into my table. So as you can see now, there it is, just the basic wood texture is on my table. Now I can play around with this scale here and get it looking a bit better, because it's a bit kind of choppy at the moment. So I can look at this scale here for a minute, and I can kind of bring it in a bit, and then I mean, wood grain is technically wood grain is very fine, so you can get an idea of how fine you would want the wood grain. You could play around with this yourself and you could get it perfectly the way you want it. I think that wood grain's a bit too fine, maybe. Yeah, bring it down there. So yeah, that kind of looks a bit janky, doesn't it, at the moment? We kind of bring it out a bit. No, I didn't bring that back. Yeah, but you guys can play around with this and mess around with it and stuff and get an idea of what you want, But yeah, and once you have the wood texture on it and you're pretty happy with it, then what you can do is you can actually start to get ready to upload it again. So we have our table now, and what we need to do now is we just need to go to File, Export, Collada default.dae, and I'm going to call this table test textured. So table test, I have it there, okay? So I'm going to export Collada. Now when I go in World, okay, so I think I've already uploaded this a second ago, so I'm just going to delete that out. So I go to build and then upload mesh model, and then I go to table test textured. This is our new table now, okay? So we have our new table with our slats on the bottom of it and stuff. We can click textures to see, yes, okay, our texture is there. Yeah, our texture is actually on the model itself, so our texture is on the model. And then what we can do is we can actually go calculate weights. Well, first of all, I'm going to say name it table texture test, and then I'm just going to go calculate weights and fees and then upload, okay? And now when I res it out, I can actually right click it now and put my texture on it. So mine was, what was it, wood. Mine was the seamless wood there. And now if you look at the table, you see that the wood texture is actually on the table itself, you know. So it's still, you know, it still looks a bit weird and it still kind of looks a bit off. But you know, it's a basic unwrap and it's a basic table, but it's your first ever model. I mean, you could redefine this, you could retune this in Blender, you could kind of unwrap it properly if you got used to unwrapping. You could mark your seams and unwrapping it. But yeah, for a basic table, that is not bad. I think it comes in at, like, you know, 636 triangles, which is very, very low poly. And then, you know, obviously, you know, yeah, it comes in at that. So I mean, you know, it's your first ever table, it's your first ever model, and yeah, you know, have fun with it. So I do hope you enjoyed this video, guys. I do hope you you know, continue to work on your Blender projects. In further videos we will learn about baking textures and ambient light and stuff like that. Yeah, but for now, make sure you subscribe, guys. I do hope you like enjoyed the video, and yeah, I'll catch you soon, guys, in the next video.